We were big East.
Okay, welcome to the July 12th, 2021 special board meeting for the Cicero Town Board. I'd like to welcome you all here. For those of you who are here, please note the exits in the front and the rear of the building in the unlikely event there's an emergency. For those who are with us electronically this evening, also here we have Steve Procopio, Gretchen Walter, Neil Germain, Nicole Walsh, I believe is Jamaica, maybe Jamaica later. Kate Fiorello, Lieutenant James Myers, Teresa Roth, Albert Johans, and Gabrielle Stagroy. Okay, next item will be clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Blakey.
Here.
Councilor Carr.
Here.
Councilor White.
Here.
Councilor Bacallo.
Here.
Supervisor Meyer.
Here, first item on the agenda, Mr. Bacallo, pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll take a moment of silence for all those who lost a family member this past year.
Thank you. Next item, Nancy, item number 2.
Approval of abstracts. Resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves abstract numbers 25, dated 6/23/2021, 26, dated 6/30/2021, and 27, dated 7/7/2021.
Second.
Discussion on the item, hearing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Councilor Blakey.
Yes.
Councilor Carr.
Yes.
Councilor White.
Yes.
Councilor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 3, board approves hiring of a recreation leader. Whereas the recreation department has a need for a recreation leader to coach tennis, now therefore be resolved, the town board approves to hire Natalie Fernandez as a recreation leader at an hourly rate of $50 effective August 1st, 2021, budget code B702013, and be it further resolved, the hourly rate of $50 will be fully covered by program registration fees.
Second.
Ms. Boyke, discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Blakey.
Yes.
Councilor Carr.
Yes.
Councilor White.
Yes.
Councilor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Next item, informational on rubbish and trash. I've mentioned this before, but I'd like to bring it to everyone's attention again. Recycling 101, this is an item that's available through Oprah, Adult Kind of Resource Recovery Agency. And the reason I'm bringing it up is Oprah is getting stricter with the vendors on what's in their blue bin, because a lot of the stuff that's in the blue bin, they actually cannot recycle any longer. So please check that. I don't want to have the trash people going through your blue bins. I don't want them going through my blue bins. So just kind of check it out, and the right stuff goes in the right place. That'll be a lot better. I think most of you know that this year we had 2 new vendors, one for brush and one for trash. Earlier on this year, they sent out mailers, nice brightly colored ones. Unfortunately, I think the brightly colored flyers end up being, in their mind, junk mail. So they weren't really being paid a whole lot of attention to. Some did, some didn't. Next item is the recycle truck looks very similar to the trash truck. I get calls where somebody says, well, the truck was just down the road. Well, it was the other truck. So they're getting kind of mixed up. So I know as time goes on, they'll be labeled better and things will work out, but just kind of keep an eye on that. I don't know about your house, but my house, for example, the trash truck used to always come in at 10 o'clock. So I was in routine for that. The new vendor comes at 8 o'clock. Okay, not a big deal, but that gets back to the idea the trash needs to be out the time before, the day before, at least that morning. Last, but certainly not least, the wording on some of the flyers was not 100% clear, at least in my mind. So I'm suggesting that, especially when holiday times come around, go to the vendor's site. We're going to change the site, the town's website, make it a little more, I'm going to call assertive when these days come up. In other words, set out a blast, for example. Hey, here's this holiday coming up, please, pay attention to it. Eventually, people get used to it, but in the meantime, I'm going to take the directive to be more assertive, like I said, for the blast. And, we'll get through it. Again, it's, new vendors, everybody will get around there, but in the meantime, I guess we're just going to have to be a little patient. I know it's difficult, so. Okay, any other board members have any items to comment on number 4?
I believe the next 2 holidays, but that's going to happen again is Christmas and New Year's, correct?
If I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
Long
the
weekend.
schedule memorized, a whole lot harder to do, but, yeah. So again, we're going to be more sort of on the blast. We're not going to just post it, we're going to blast it. Right, so we're going to work on that. So if any folks have any suggestions on how to make it better, please call.
Oh, Mr. Supervisor, it's good. I was going to bring it up during discussion on this, but it works here now. I'm working with Wayne, with a couple other team members here to look at ways to communicate better with our residents, whether that be through other social media means than what we use now. We're trying to take any suggestions. We want to make sure that we're better at communicating. So we're going to make sure that we do that for the meeting this week. So when Wayne gets back, we're excited to do that. So we'll keep everybody posted. And if there's any ideas on different social media platforms or just any platforms, please let us know. More than happy to get that out to you.
And we used to, I mean, you all have been here long enough to know, we used to have the Star Review reporter here. And that's changed with COVID. So we don't have that vehicle. So I've reached out to the reporter from the Star Review, and we're going to try to have a little more dialogue, to get the things we're doing on the docket for the Star Review too. So we'll try to use every vehicle we can. So thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next item is set a public hearing for the speed limit on a portion of East Taft Road. I had one question when this thing came up. Geez, I thought we already did this. And the answer is, yeah, it came up at the last board meeting, but our legal counsel has been very emphatic when I talked to him about this, that when we do speed limit, we have to be definitive, know where it is. We can't just say 231 Taft Road, Lakeville Road. We can't just say that road has to be defined spaces. So on this one, it's changed and it's a shorter area and does not include Basketball Road, and that's important because not only is there a spacing requirement on speed limits, but if you have an intersection, there are additional requirements for stop signs. So they're different. So then number 5, set a public hearing, set the speed limit on a portion of East Taft Road, whereas Taft Road is on Bell County Road, and whereas a portion of Taft Road is in the town of Cicero, whereas the town of Cicero is a suburban town and has the authority to set speed limits on county roads, and whereas following inspection of East Taft Road and town of Cicero has been determined the portions of East Taft Road and town of Cicero should have the speed limits reduced to promote better motor vehicle safety and better speed limit consistency. Now therefore be resolved that the speed limit at East Taft Road and town of Cicero shall be changed in the eastbound lane from the intersection of Northern Boulevard and East Taft Road to the DeWitt Cicero Town Line intersection of East Taft and Fly Road to 40 miles per hour, and be it further resolved the speed limit at East Taft Road and town of Cicero on the westbound lane shall be changed from the intersection of Northern Boulevard and East Taft Road to the intersection of East Taft Road and Fly Road to 40 miles per hour, and be it further resolved that the Cicero Highway Department, Cicero Highway Superintendent shall install all proper signage on East Taft Road to meet the new speed limits stated in this resolution, and be it further resolved, Cicero Town Board sets Wednesday, July 28th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. at 8236 Burlington Road for a public hearing to consider the speed limit change on a certain portion of East Taft Road, and be it proposed local law number 4 of 2021, effective upon filing with the New York State Secretary of State.
Second.
Secretary Spilkey, discussion on number 5.
What was the impetus for this study and then the subsequent setting of the public hearing? What brought this on, I guess? Was it, we've heard from a resident, was a concern, I understand that. Was that one resident's concern?
Frankly, that was their resident, and that particular area of Taft Road was not in my legislative district when I was a legislator, so I was paying attention to that area because didn't know the residents quite as well in that area. And that was an item that was brought up, and then I found out later that the residents in that area had an ongoing discussion, not only with the previous supervisor, but also with the previous police chief. And for some reason, it got dropped. So, based on that suggestion, that's where I went.
It was my understanding that there had been an agreement in regards to the speed limits because of there's several different speeds within a short distance, besides the fact that it goes into a very bad curve. So I believe that this is just reopening and asking for the resolution or the interest that was supposed to happen during the time when the past supervisor and past police chief were here. That it was agreed upon to do it and it never happened. So that's my understanding.
I think I've vocalized this before, and in my opinion, the situation we have on Taft Road is rather unique in that the part right off Northern Boulevard is both the north and south side of the road is in the town. Down a little bit, it goes down to DeWitt on one side of the road, and just on the other, go down a bit further, it's Manlius and then DeWitt. And since it's a county road, my opinion is the county should have been tackling it and make it consistent. But they have refused, and up to this point, and so I'm not going to let it be, in my judgment, a unsafe condition waiting on the Cuyahoga County. So if they don't act, I'm going to bring it to the board. If the board decides to go one way, fine. If they decide to go another way, that's fine. But if a resident comes with what I feel and is an inconsistent safety issue and want it to be addressed, I'm going to bring it up.
Okay, well, I think any further debate or discussion would be better reserved for the public hearing. I'm a little bit skeptical it isn't a more or less rural area. One of the emails we received said that, it was inadvertently left at 50 on one side of Northern, which I spoke to Mr. Wozniak about, and he said that's not the case. The decision to leave it at 50 on the east side was not inadvertent, it was intentional. It is in a rural area, but, I'm very skeptical about this, although it's at the public hearing, but I'm very skeptical about this.
Well, it's a first steps for, and I'm going to call it fact finding stage and public input stage.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just wanted to know what the impetus was. I would be concerned if we were going to get to the point where it was very easy to generate a police study and a public hearing on reducing a speed limit, because if we set a definite threshold point, that threshold was very low, we would be doing this every meeting. I don't think there's anything. But, if there's been multiple residents interested in that, certainly we can, I don't have any objection moving forward right now on the public hearing.
Further comments on number 5?
I will never turn down public input.
Okay, hearing no further comment, clerk, please call the roll.
Council Wojcicki.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Council White.
Yes.
Council McCallum.
Aye.
And Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Next item, number 6, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So pretty good news on the comprehensive plan progress. We solicited requests for members of the community to step up and volunteer their time wanting to be on the board. We have over 24 individuals that have done so far. We're currently now asking for resumes, so if there's anybody here in the room, which I know there's a couple people here, please send your resume. So everybody, I'm asking everyone for the resume. So we need that moving forward. I'm working with, Counselor Carp, Counselor White, and we're currently now in the process of, we're gonna take all help, right? And we're gonna just try to figure out from gauging people's interest and what parts of the comprehensive plan they'd like to be a part of. We'll try to put them in that area, as well as trying to get our ducks in a row for who wants to be on what committee. So again, it's open for Counselor White, Counselor Carter, for any other board member who wants to speak now. So I just want to get moving quickly.
The only thing I would add is that I did speak to planning board chairman, Mark Marzullo today. We did set for 2 planning board members to be in the committee. So Mr. Marzullo will be agreed to be one. I know we discussed Michael Marizio, the ad hoc, being the other. So we've got 2. We still have to figure out which of the town board members, and then we need to figure out the division between committees and subcommittees. But we're making really good progress. We've had no shortage, I don't think, of volunteers.
I'm just, people from all walks of life seem to be stepping up, so it's really great to see.
Absolutely.
Also, there are other reports other communities have done in Onondaga County over the years. When we've been able to secure them, we're getting those put together, so to speak, and then we're giving those to the town board members that are working on the project. So I am fully in favor of stealing good ideas from every other municipality. If we get their ideas, I'm sure they have some things we haven't even thought of. There's some towns in the county that have a lot of lakefront, Skaneateles, Lawrenceville area has a lot of riverfront. And I'm sure they have ideas that we haven't thought of, so we're trying to steal every good idea we can find. So.
And I appreciate those emails from you, Mr. Supervisor.
Yeah. Okay, any further items on any further comments on number 6? Okay, number 7, the COVID relief. I'm sure you've seen some items in the paper over the last few weeks where Onondaga County and the city of Syracuse have announced some of the things they're going to be using their COVID relief money for. And so the next thing is, how come you haven't heard anything from Cicero? Reason is those organizations are in federal language entitled governments. We are not in the entitled category. So we have to go through a different process. The town Cicero is in line for approximately $2.9 million. They'll come in as this point, it's going to be in 2 checks. One check will be hopefully in the next few months. Another one will be next year. Unfortunately, though, they haven't given us the rules. In other words, what I mean, they haven't made it real clear what we can have the money for and what we can't. I can tell you right now, unfortunately, we can't use it for debt reduction. We don't have a lot of debt, but we can't use it for debt reduction. We can't use it for property tax relief. It'd be nice to have some progress on a new court facility or some way to resolve our court situation. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to use it for that. So they've given us a lot of no's. They haven't given us a lot of yeses. The yeses they do have are for water and sewers. Now, water would be easier than sewers. Sewers could be very expensive. So sometime over the hopefully next couple months, they'll give us further guidance and we'll be able to figure out where we're going. So more to come. And that does not include the quote unquote infrastructure package that's being talked about in Washington. So that could be another pot of money. Again, we don't know how it's going to work. So I'm sure the board members will keep all up to date as those come in. So you hear, what's going on in Onondaga County and the city of Syracuse, and you wonder why. Silence, that's why. They haven't told us the rules yet. Okay. That being said, number 8, discussion. Any board members have any items to bring up? Okay, I had one resident say, well, geez, how come we're having these split up the meetings, so to speak? Many times, members of this board have been contacting the COT with our concerns about traffic on Route 11 and 31. We've had numerous conversations with that, and we have been contacted by the state of New York concerning Route 31. Their presentation is approximately an hour. So if we weren't going to be able to get through our regular items and then do a hour presentation, you wouldn't have any opportunity to bring up any other items. So that way, again, to make it easier for the residents to have input, I had it split up. So that's the reason for it.
And I get to hang out with all you guys again.
I know, one more time. So that's a good thing. Any other board members have any other items right now? If not, I'll open up to the public input component. Yeah, come up here.
I just wanted to give you a little more information on that Taft Road speed limit, and just like you,
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Your name.
Oh,
and your
Rose
position,
Napoli.
please.
Rose
Your address,
Napoli.
please.
I'm sorry,
Address, please. Rose.
address is 6471 East Taft Road, East Syracuse, New York, 13057, and I've lived there for 49 years.
Thank you.
And like I said, just like you, if the speed limit is 50, I want to drive 50. If it's 50, I might want to drive 55. But we all know people who don't drive 50 or 55, they're driving 60, 65 miles an hour. I've had cars, trucks, motorcycles on my front lawn. I had a truck upside down on my front lawn hit my house, and my house isn't anywhere near the road. So unless you live there, you don't understand the situation. The other day I was coming home with my sister, Katie, you know her very well. She lives right next door to me. Taking a left-hand turn in my driveway, somebody decides that they didn't like the fact that we were making a turn, and instead of going around us to the right, decided to go around us to the left. We both could have been killed had my sister not looked in her rearview mirror and noticed that there was a car coming at us. That, you have to understand that if you drive Taft Road from Sweetheart Corner all the way to Northern Boulevard and going east, going west, that sign is 40 miles an hour. It doesn't change. It doesn't get out to country until you get past our house. So right at Northern Boulevard, going east, you've got 4 lanes. You cross Northern Boulevard, all of a sudden, we've got 2 lanes. You go down one house, and all of a sudden, we've got 1 lane. And where we go to 1 lane, they change the speed limit to 50 miles an hour. So we got 8 houses there, and all of a sudden, it goes from 4 lanes to 2 lanes to 1 lane. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. And I've been trying to explain this for the last 3 or 4 years. It may even be longer than that there's a mistake. Somebody should have changed that speed limit sign, and they didn't. And it's been like that for a number of years. It's out of place. And once you get past my house, which is like the 8th house in a row, all of a sudden you got a curve. And so right past my house, all of a sudden it's back down to 40 miles an hour. And it's the same thing going west. It's just a sign or two with a speed limit that's out of sync. I'm not asking you to change the whole speed limit on East Taft Road. I'm telling you that there's something wrong. It's out of whack. Every day, I don't know if it's a town of Cicero or if it's a state trooper, who it is, it's every single day there's a trooper or a police officer on East Taft Road, right by Northern Boulevard. I don't know if that's the town of Cicero or not. It's every single day. And actually, I stopped at one of the businesses and they tell me that every day they go and they bring him coffee. Now, if we didn't know that there was a problem, why would we have a police officer every day sitting in his car? And if there's one more car accident there, who's going to be responsible? I worked at National Grid in the safety department for the last 8 years of my life. So I'm not somebody with no experience. I have a lot of experience. And I'm trying to tell you that something is out of whack there. All I need for you to do is get in a car, drive from Sweetheart Corner all the way down to Fly Road. You'll see 1 or 2 signs that say 50 miles an hour. They all say 40 miles an hour. So I saw your faces and I know you're just like me. I mean, if you give me a country road, I'm going to be going 55 miles an hour. But this is out of whack. You need to change that sign. And I give up. If I don't get your support this time, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be just like you, and I'm not going to care. But I do care. I don't want to get killed. I don't want anyone in my family killed. I don't want the lady who lives next door who has Alzheimer's, who's walked across that street twice now with no clothes on to Circle K down on Schuyler Road. I don't want those kids living in the neighborhood getting killed. And that 50 mile an hour sign doesn't belong there. It's 8 houses in a row, and all of a sudden you decide that we're going to be driving 55 miles an hour. It doesn't make sense. So please drive down the road. Just see what you see yourself. I understand you had two people here a couple of weeks ago who drive down the road and they didn't want that sign changed. And if it were me driving down a road that I knew nothing about, I'd be the same way. I think the same thing they thought. I want to drive 50 miles an hour, but the sign doesn't belong there. So please change it. I do appreciate the fact that you took it to the public, and I'm going to have lots of people here. I have a petition that I'm getting people to sign. You've received emails from at least one person, possibly two, that have told you that, those signs need to be changed. And like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I could have been dead. Just somebody deciding that they didn't want to drive 40 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour, took a chance and drove past me. And thank God my sister was looking in a rearview mirror because the accident, it didn't happen. But my parents have been hit in front of the house. Like I said, I've had cars, trucks, motorcycles in my front lawn, in my driveway, and I care. I don't want to see anyone hurt. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Ray Shader, 298. I don't know where that lady lives, but I can kind of agree with some of what she's saying is possibly that change could be from Northern Boulevard to just past Schuyler Road. And then the other way, because I'll admit that sometimes, like in the winter, if you take off from Northern Boulevard and there's a little bend there, a lot of times you get to that bend and there's a tractor trailer across the street, across Taft Road, coming off Schuyler Road. Now, in the wintertime, that if you don't understand that, and it could be a problem. So I could understand from Northern Boulevard to the other side of Schuyler Road would be fine.
Okay, any further comment? Okay, the next meeting is for the, okay, I'm sorry. Sure. Team Joyce with a red shirt on, I will. You all set?
Truman Museum and Library.
Oh, okay, good.
Joyce Villeneuve, Ontario Ave. So let's go back to the comprehensive plan. In the last session, in the motion, you made a milestone meeting or announcement report for August 11th. You say that you have set the people for the board members and the planning board members. You say you're going to take everybody that has volunteered. When do you think you might be ready to set an organizational meeting and get going so you have something to report on August 11th?
I take it you're asking me on that one. I don't have all the resumes of everybody yet. And I've been asking people, in order for me to move forward, I really want to have everyone's resumes so we can look to see, hey, someone has experience in this area. It'd be awesome if we could have them work with us there.
Well,
We can change that August 11th meeting date. Right. Yeah. Joyce, I know you're helping, and I'm so honored you're helping. There's a lot of people. I got to make sure everyone's lined up together before we move forward. This means a lot that we set this correctly for moving forward. I don't want this to be a community board. There's been a couple in the past that have failed. I want this to work.
I don't think there's any of us that have experience with the comprehensive plan, save maybe Bill Meyer at the county level and Judy Boyke with the town. I don't think.
There's actually a couple people that sent in resumes who actually did some of this comprehensive plan work across the country, so we're really excited.
Right, so let's get going.
Did I get your resume?
You know you did.
Any further residents? Okay, again, so the next meeting is the 28th, and again, to keep the agenda for that meeting concise, we have minimal to other items on the agenda so that we can just pay the bills if we need to do that. And so the next item, like I said, is going to be the DOT report. So on the notice that went out for the DOT report, one of the pages was a public input notice. So please look for that. At the next meeting, we'll also have that public input form as well. So if you don't get a chance to ask questions, or if you have a question that pops up later, then the form will be available so you can fill it out and send it in. So we're trying to make this as easy as we can as far as participating and also follow up later. Okay, that being said, I move to adjourn in a second.
Second.
Do a voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.